Hey Meg,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I can't complain. The sun is partially shining in Syracuse,
Let's
through the
go.
clouds, but tomorrow is going to be really warm. So, how about you? How are you?
That's good. My son would say to that, "Let's go." And then I would say, "Yeah, aren't you excited?" And he would say, "Bet." That's what
Yeah,
he would say.
I know. Sometimes I want to say let's go, and then I just feel like a YouTuber
Yeah,
and I,
you're not a kid. I know.
I reel it in.
Um, so two things today. One is that I was eating, my sister's in town visiting, and I was eating a piece of sourdough bread that she made because she bakes sourdough bread, bagels, focaccia, cinnamon rolls, all sorts of sourdough things like every single day.
Mhm.
And she made me a loaf of bread many days ago. It was stale. And last night, Phil said, "Are you still eating that bread?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I feel like all you do is eat bread." And I was like, "Wow, that's so rude." And then this morning, I was like, "This is really stale." And I ate it, and my tooth, something's very wrong. Like my filling came out, and this whole other problem with my tooth. And now I have to go to an emergency dentist appointment at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
No. Oh,
And, you know, the planets, the energy, things aren't great right now. And so I'm trying to stay above the fray and just be like, this isn't a big deal. I'm going to get my tooth fixed. Like, I
that's
like to
right.
think of what's the worst thing that could happen. I'm like, now I have this huge hole. It's going to get infected. I have a problem. I should I eat? Like, even on the phone to the receptionist, I was like, what do I do? And she was like, you chew on the other side and we'll see you in the morning. But I like to get a little catastrophic in there. I like
Yeah.
to think of some bad stuff and I'm trying to reel it in.
Yeah, I go catastrophic. It's my very first thought is the most outrageous, impossible thing. Like I misplaced something in my house, and instead of being like, oh, you probably left it in your coat pocket, I'm like, someone broke into my house,
Yes, for
moved
sure.
it, and now they're like watching me frantically look for it, and while I'm sleeping, they're gonna emerge from my basement and murder me. Some very creative narrative comes to
Yeah,
mind.
no,
Enough.
I know. Oh, well, my anxiety is mostly health related. So
Hmm.
when this happened, I was like, could I somehow like, I don't know, have a permanent problem with the rest of my body?
Mm, yeah, yeah. And this is
But it's
like it's
because
culminated in that.
I read the internet and I have Instagram and I get targeted for things and then I see that people are going through things that I couldn't have imagined before. So now that lives in my brain. But
Well, also you've had some experiences, which actually helps me segue to what I wanted to ask you about, but I know the background of, but your little red necklace.
oh yeah, isn't this so cute?
Yeah.
So this is a red sneaker, and it's for Red Sneakers for Oakley, which is a nonprofit that who I volunteer with, and I love them because they do food allergy education and advocacy. They ensure that people, as many people as they could possibly reach, will know what to look for in the signs of an allergic reaction. If you don't have food allergies or kids with food allergies, you probably wouldn't know or have to experience it. But it's good for everyone to know the signs. And the only way to stop an allergic reaction and prevent one from being fatal, which they can be, and is to use an EpiPen, epinephrine. And Oakley, who loved red sneakers, he just like so tragically lost his life when he was young. And his parents have founded this organization, and I'm really close to them. And tonight, they're hosting a big event. They're going to have over 100 people there, and I am the speaker. So I'm trying to get into my red sneakers vibes and think a lot about Oakley today and his parents.
Wow. Okay. Is Amira going?
Now, Amira is not going, but when they do the red sneakers for Oakley Day at her school, she does do the speaking and she shows them how to use an EpiPen. Amira being my daughter, she has like a trainer EpiPen with no needle in it. And she showed the whole school and all the parents last year how to use it. And it was amazing. And Oakley's parents were there for that. So that was really special. And she loves it. She sleeps all the time in her red t-shirt that says, "Ask me why I wear red sneakers." And I'm looking at her red Converses right now. So it's very special to us, you know?
Ah, that's amazing. That's really
Yeah.
exciting. Well, I'm glad that, you're getting a little warm up here because I'm about to ask you a question. And,
Yeah.
you have to put yourself in the mind of a nonprofit CEO. That's where I'm going with this. And so may I ask you something, Meg George, nonprofit CEO?
Please do.
All right, you just got hired as a CEO of a nonprofit. You can pick the type, community-based, education, healthcare. It's your first 30 days.
Okay.
What are you doing?
That is such a good question. In the first 30 days of leading any nonprofit, I am asking so many questions to understand what the biggest problems are that we are trying to solve as an entity and what the biggest barriers we have in an organization to solving them. I want to know from our donors, from the people who work in our programs, from our fundraisers, from board members who have been around a long time, board members who might have a totally different perception of us because they haven't been around a long time. I want to ask them all a bunch of questions about what they believe we are doing, need to continue to do, and can do in the community around our area, in our sphere. And I want that to be tight. Like, I want to end my 30 days and say, I heard you all. We're doing A. We really need to get, stronger in B, and we need to start incorporating C into solving this problem of our mission statement of what we stand for. And then I would go to all of the people and the finances and the communications that I could get my hands on. And I would try to identify where things are getting stopped. Phil, my husband, who you also work with on a daily basis, always says, let's swim upstream on this problem. And I think that all CEOs have this like unique and remarkable opportunity to swim upstream to see where the problem is coming from that just allows us to like free flow into solving it. So I would make sure that my first communication with donors was like, gratitude and give it to me straight. Like, I want to know what you think of us. And I want to be able to really, in short order here, go on my tour of not just listening to everything that you think is wrong, but of digging deeply into what you believe the greatest opportunities we have to solve a problem or multiple problems are. And where have you ever experienced our inability to do that on a barrier? And then you didn't ask me what I would do after 30 days, but if I was given the chance, I would probably take what I found and I would summarize it at a board meeting, like I had just done a few minutes ago. And I'd have my fundraising team there, of course, too, because they have to represent us out in the world. And I would say, hey, listen, I believe that this supports our mission statement to do A, B, and more of C. And that's what we need to focus on. Here are the ways that I think we can do it. And here are some of our barriers to that. And
Mhm.
I bet you, I would bet money that one of the barriers to solving problems is money at nonprofits. It's like why we do our job and why so many people do fundraising. So if that's true, then you are starting the framework for a campaign. And if you are a new CEO at a nonprofit, you have to be thinking about a campaign
Right.
because it's going to create like this sense of urgency and momentum and boldness. It's going to show the community that you're putting a stake in the ground, you're here to stay. You can do things on a timeline, you can show tangible outcomes. Like there's only a benefit to running a campaign when you're a new leader. So once you get your ducks in a row of like what you need to do and what you need to fund, you just need to start putting your arms around how much that thing is going to cost you and start identifying and articulating like what it will take and the outcomes it will generate. So that's what I would do like 30 days and then 90 days. I would be thinking like, how do I get it so clear and so tight what we want to accomplish together and how we're going to do it and how we're going to overcome some of these things so that anyone who works for me or sits on my board could say all the same language that I say. Because do you ever feel like
No. Yeah.
Sometimes you ask people these kinds of questions and the answer's so long or so confusing, and then you see the board member at Wegmans and they're like, I think we're thinking about some building. I don't know. I missed the last meeting. And then you're like, oh, that's interesting. The perspectives are a little, it's hard to track sometimes. So I like tight, easy communication.
Yeah,
What about
absolutely.
you? What would you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, uh I would be thinking about our operations, and I think that I would be uh kind of doing an audit of that, and at the same time bringing probably in an AI business consultant.
Ooh, ooh,
Hopefully
ooh,
that we secure a contract with through pro bono connections through one of our board members or a community leader.
ooh.
And because the thing that, we see so often in nonprofits is bandwidth
Yeah.
and ability. And so I'm just thinking about how can we really maximize our people and, be able to be more efficient and
Yeah.
kind of create a more of a culture of ease than we have had before, because we see time and time again folks who are so passionate, so dedicated, so capable, all of the positive things working at nonprofits, getting paid quite small sums to
Yeah.
devote so much of their time and energy to doing five jobs.
Yeah.
So I think that if we can, confront some of those structural and operational things, we can just be a lot better. And my quickest way to figure that out in the present moment is, incorporating and leveraging AI into what we do.
So smart. And that's why you have that job, this job, and I
Yeah.
don't. Because I'm like, what's the problem? Like, what's the juiciest, like, drama we can get into about like changing the world immediately? Like, we only need a month to do that. And you're like, what if we also just run more efficiently, save money, tighten up, and flow in our operations? They should hire you, not me. Um,
Well, I really like the model of co-presidents of
okay,
nonprofits
yeah.
that has come into vogue in the last several years. So, I mean, that could be good. Okay, one final kind of clarifying, detailed question. How are you supporting your development staff as a CEO or inspiring them? Meg comes in and everyone's like, oh, everyone on the development staff is like, oh no, our CEO is a a development professional. Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
Oh my gosh. No, yes. Okay, this is a good point because it would actually be the best. I would make sure that they knew that I'm very comfortable being used and that I value my time a lot and that I value their time a lot too. So if we all use our time in our lane, we're going to raise the most amount of money possible. So I would say like let's go. You guys show me based on different criteria around giving history, wealth capacity, known affinity, known capacity in the community. Like, let's compile a list in descending order here of some of our greatest prospects. And I need to give you my time on a weekly or, bi-weekly basis. I need to give you my time to go through these people and we need to decide where I need to be used. So I would want to say to them, like manage up to pull me into conversations where me being there advances this conversation toward an ask or makes the solicitation more powerful, maybe because of the title that I hold, even though I'd want to surround myself by fundraisers who absolutely could do those things. But we all know that sometimes bringing in a partner makes our job a little easier, makes the ask, more sure, something like that. So that's a really good question because I always see fundraisers not at the board meeting or not in meetings often or regularly with the CEO. And I think, how could this be? There are people representing us out with those who need to invest in solving our problems. We have to have gifts come in. So if the people meeting with the people about gifts aren't in every critical conversation about decisions and vision and problems we have and being vulnerable together and talking points about how we want to portray ourselves to the community, then we're just doing them such a huge disservice. We can't expect them to raise the most amount of money. So I would hope that my fundraising team felt like they could come on in and respect my time, and I'm going to respect yours. And we're going to have a scaffold here of like me working on the top 15 or so relationships and then going on from there knowing that the person, assuming you have multiple people, I hope you do, can really work on like the broad base, the bragging, the just like exposing people to exactly who we are and why we need funding and then, filling in the pyramid between that person and me with staff who can manage relationships appropriately and differently through that. So I like that. When I see really positive CEO and fundraising team relationships, I feel like they're meeting all the time and that there's no ego about who's going to make the ask or go to the meeting. It's just like who is more likely to get it, who holds the better relationship, because compatibility is such a human nature thing. And are we being like really smart about the CEO's time?
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I think this was very helpful, and I hope it gave you a good, chance to warm up those vocal muscles for tonight. So all I can say is, break a leg, but not a tooth. And
Oh my gosh, have you been, it's almost like you've rehearsed that line before today. I hope to break nothing more physically before tonight. And thank you for the well wishes. I will always take them. And I'll let you know tomorrow how it goes.
okay, sounds good. Send me some pics.
I will. Thank you. Thanks for asking me a question. I'll see you next week.
See you next time.
Okay.